Marvel fans, it is here, the official first trailer for the Fantastic Four. And in this video, I want to do an in-depth breakdown of everything that is revealed throughout the trailer. There are a lot of fun Easter eggs and hints at story beats that are probably going to end up in the film. But I also want to talk about some stuff that's not shown in the trailer, perhaps some stuff that's hinted at. There are a lot of mysterious leaks and rumors with regards to the Fantastic Four movie, so we'll also talk about that stuff at the end of this video. I should probably just say that overall, I like the trailer. I like the look and the vibe of this film, but I also think that this whole releasing it at 7 a.m. and then there's an hour countdown and then there's a weird interview thing and then they actually revealed the trailer, I kind of felt like that was an L. I kind of felt like that took away from the actual trailer itself and had an awkward and weird setup to experiencing this thing for the first time. However, what really matters is the contents of the trailer and how cool it looked and all the fun things that were revealed. So let's get into that. The trailer begins with the elevator doors to the Baxter building actually opening, and we get this really cool shot at what the living room to the Baxter building main floor family quarters looks like. And immediately you can notice a couple of things. I mean, first of all, it's very fancy, it's very futuristic. You can see outside the skyline of this version of New York City, and it is officially confirmed that this version of New York City is different than the one that's in the normal Marvel Cinematic Universe 616, and that's because this movie takes place in an alternate universe. It appears to also be an alternate universe where certain aesthetics from the 60s or 70s have persisted, or maybe we're just viewing the creation of the Fantastic Four in the 60s or the 70s of this universe. We get a shot of Sue Storm welcoming somebody to the Baxter building, and we get voiceover of Reed Richards telling this person that we make a point to do family dinner every week. Then in a shot of the kitchen, we have Reed Richards pointing to the dining room table, where he explains to the man in the suit that it's Sunday at 7 on the dot, no matter what, we're all here. It's also important to note that the aspect ratio of this part of the trailer is in a 4:3, and it also has these curved edges to somewhat replicate what the old tube television screens look like. It's basically hard nostalgia for the 60s or 70s all over this thing. We then cut to the logo as the aspect ratio stretches out to 16:9. We cut to the shot of the actual Baxter building, which looks super cool and very futuristic, again set across this skyscape of a different New York City. We get a shot of Herbie looking in a cookbook, and he's being asked how the sauce is coming by Evan Moss Bacharach's The Thing. And then we cut to a shot of Ben Grimm as the Thing in his Fantastic Four costume, and this is a super big deal. Our first actual look at Ben Grimm, The Thing, and what he's going to look like in the Fantastic Four movie. And I think he looks great. He's judging the sauce that Herbie has made, and we can see a lot of expression in the design here. Evan can do a lot of acting with his eyes, but he's also able to do a lot of acting with his face that comes across in the different movements of the rocks. And we can even hear the sound of the rocks clinking against each other as he moves. And I gotta say, I think this is an incredible looking thing, although I do think the voice could be synced up a little bit better with the movements of the mouth. Overall though, a very good look at the Thing. I love the brow, I love the sound of the crinking, and I love the ability of Evan's eyes and his expressions to come across in this model. I do kind of wish the Thing was a little bit bigger. I wish he was a little stockier, a little stronger looking, but that's all right. We then cut to a shot of Reed Richards working on a chalkboard, which pops out of the ground. And we cut to a shot of him working on this chalkboard after having filled it out extensively. This image here of what appears to be an Einstein-Rosen bridge. This is where you bend together two separated parts of space and time. You can also make out these diamond-shaped objects down here, kind of in the shape of a hexagram. This could be a reference to Wanda, or also the hex-like images that happen when you travel through space, like in the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, or even some of the hexagon shapes that were created in the incursion that the Bangles created in the Marvels film. The trailer next cuts into a sequence where you see all of the Fantastic Four members in their astronaut suits when they first go up into space, and you have voiceover from Pedro Pascal telling Sue Storm, before we went up the first time, you couldn't turn invisible. And we do get a shot of Sue Storm turning invisible inside one of the spaceships, and this does seem to be from the initial incident where they get hit with the cosmic rays and get their powers. And I actually love the look of Sue Storm going invisible here, fading in and out of existence. Kind of feels like Reed is trying to hold on to her and she is really afraid. And I think that scene's going to be very emotional when we actually see it in the film. That is then cut into a shot of the Thing walking down an alley in New York City, maybe even Yancey Street itself. The voiceover of Reed talking to Sue continues as Reed says Ben wasn't a rock, and we get a shot of Ben Grimm the Thing in a trench coat with his classic cap looking at some television screens as they show what he looked like before the incident. The screens go out and we get the reflection of Ben Grimm looking grim. We cut to his reaction to this entire sequence and he definitely looks sad. And of course, this is a big thing in comics. Ben Grimm being turned into a monster is massive. I mean, it's something that he has to struggle with. It's something that Reed Richards has to struggle with. And Reed, despite being super intelligent, is actually never able to turn Ben back into a human form. And the voiceover continues with Reed saying that Johnny never caught fire. And then we get our first shots of Johnny Storm actually turning into the Human Torch and flying around. And Sue Storm tries to comfort her husband by telling him Ben has always been a rock. We see a shot of Ben Grimm in a big blue sweater sitting down with Sue Storm. We get a shot of Sue Storm going into Johnny's room and she explains to Reed that Johnny's always Johnny. Of course, their brother-sister chemistry is very important to the dynamic here, but she's really more like a mom to Johnny, like a big sister to Johnny Storm. We get this cool shot of the moon as Johnny's trying to fly out of orbit. And then we cut to a really cool shot of Sue Storm actually using her powers. And I love the look here. Sue Storm uses energy fields that retract and reflect light in order to hide objects, make things appear invisible, or just to protect or cause damage. And so here we're seeing all of these rainbow colors, which are exactly what you would see if somebody was using these energy fields to bend and manipulate light. This is what causes rainbows when the actual light beams go through all of that water. And you can see this when you look at how light hits different crystals. So I actually like this quite a bit. And I also think Vanessa Kirby looks stunning, which like she should. She's Sue Storm. Sue Storm is a total babe. They really nailed the casting on that one. And then we get an intimate shot of Vanessa Kirby and Reed Richards kissing. And that's double exposed into a shot of Johnny Storm getting out of the atmosphere, and then his flames go away and then he falls back to Earth. Then we cut to a shot of all the Fantastic Four, and this appears to be in the far future. As you can see, Ben Grimm wearing more of a traditional modern suit, and the costumes on all of these characters do appear to be more modern. And we see something crazy in the sky, asteroids coming forward. We cut to a shot of a bunch of kids wearing Thing costumes, taking off their masks, looking up into the sky, seemingly during this same event. We get a shot of Mr. Fantastic driving his cars quickly through the streets. Cut to a shot of Johnny flying through the streets of New York. Cut to a shot of Ben Grimm running on the ground, and there seems to be a bunch of battle damage. And cut to a shot of John freaking Malkovich. And the rumors for John Malkovich in this film are amazing. According to Charles Murphy, Malkovich is playing a character named Ivan Kragoff, aka the Red Ghost. The TLDR on Kragoff is that he's a Russian scientist that sees what happens with the Fantastic Four, gets super jealous, and wants to create his own powers. So he grabs up some monkeys and goes up into space and flies into cosmic rays the same way that the Fantastic Four did. And it does give him some crazy ass powers, and it also mutates those monkeys and gives him super cosmic ape things. And at one point in the comics, they all fight on the moon. Uatu shows up and he's like, yeah, this will be a good fight. Carry on. And then they all fight. It's really crazy. And we don't know how big of a deal this will actually be to the plot. And perhaps Marvel Studios is cooking up something different with this character. But it is possible he's just a version of that character and gets a flavor of the week kind of appearance. There are big time rumors that several Fantastic Four villains will be a part of this film and might even be included in an early in the film montage, which would maybe show the team establishing themselves and beating up a bunch of bad guys. Then get a shot of Reed looking around shocked, and this does also appear to be from when they first go up and get their powers. We cut to a shot of Galactus and his shadow overtaking all of the buildings in New York City, and then we get this crazy shot of Galactus and we see him from behind. Mostly we're looking at his helmet as he looks over the Statue of Liberty and New York in general. And there are a lot of cool details here. I mean, you can see all of the intricacies of what makes up the armor that Galactus will be wearing. You can see all these blue lights, all of these like rivets and externalities of the suit. It all looks really freaking cool. And of course, this matches up with shots of Galactus's eyes and face that we saw from the leaked trailer at San Diego Comic-Con. It's a teaser trailer. They're definitely teasing what Galactus will look like, but from what we can tell and what was leaked out at San Diego Comic-Con, it looks pretty freaking cool to me. Oh, and I also want to say that Galactus can change his size. Sometimes he's seen as bigger than planets, but oftentimes he actually comes to planets. At several different points in Marvel Comics, he comes down to Earth and has literal conversations with Reed Richards. And I only bring that up because people in my live stream earlier today were like, what? Galactus is way too small. He would never be so small as to be able to walk on the surface of Earth. And that's just not true. We cut to a shot of Vanessa Kirby, as she says, as a family. And then we got this shot of them all on a stage with all of these lights and their logo behind them. And this is the exact stage from the Ed Sullivan Show, which was an old late night show in the 60s. So that's everything that's in the trailer, but there's a few things that are kind of hinted in the trailer that are not obvious that I think are really important. First off, there is that shot of Pedro at the chalkboard, and that shot of the Rosen Bridge and that shot of the Hex. I think these are really intentional pieces. It is rumored that this movie will involve some kind of multiversal travel, and that the Fantastic Four themselves might have either traveled to this universe from a different universe, or they are going to leave this universe to travel to a different one, maybe the 616 at the end of the film. And so this being on the chalkboard is really intentional. It shows that Reed Richards is learning about multiversal travel. Another thing that's kind of subtle in the trailer that I've picked up on a lot more as I've watched it a ton is the fact that I think there's a time jump in this movie. I've sort of hinted at this when I was breaking the whole thing down earlier, but there are some differences between some of the shots. Like very early on in the trailer, Vanessa Kirby's hair is incredibly short, and in some of the sequences later on, like this shot here, her hair is much longer. Even the character of Ben Grimm seems to change quite a bit. He starts off kind of shorter and not as muscular, and in some of the shots later on in the trailer, he looks very filled out and even taller. And maybe part of the reason I'm seeing this in the trailer is because there are rumors that there's a time jump in the film, and part of this has to do with the birth of Franklin Richards, who we do not see in any part of this trailer. That's another crazy thing that's not in the trailer that you would expect to see. And this shot here of Vanessa Kirby kind of looks like she has a baby bump, and this could be from way into the future. Definitely think there is a time gap in this trailer. We're seeing some things from very early on when the team gets their powers. That's probably like the Ed Sullivan Show appearance, and then we're seeing stuff way later in the timeline, which I think is more connected to when Galactus shows up. And there's even a rumor that the team is going to disperse. They're gonna break up, possibly connected to the birth of Franklin Richards, and then the team will get back together when Galactus actually comes to Earth, which again implies a passing of time. But a lot of that stuff is subtle or not seen at all in the trailer. So if it's real, Marvel's hiding it. And I'm going to be watching all of the rest of the trailers and the marketing for this movie very closely to see if any of this stuff that I think is in there is going to be revealed. But for now, that is it. Your breakdown of everything that's in the trailer. Some things that I think I see in the trailer based on some of the rumors. Would love to know your thoughts about this trailer in the comment section below. And as I always say, I hope you are having an awesome and a nerdy day. And I'll see you in the next video.